Rapunzel had long golden hair. Her hair was so long that it could reach the ground from the top of her tall tower. It shimmered in the sunlight and was the envy of everyone who saw it. She lived in a tall tower, hidden deep within a lush green forest. The tower was surrounded by trees and flowers, making it a beautiful but isolated place. One day, Rapunzel wanted to bake a cake. She had been thinking about it for days, imagining the sweet aroma filling her tower and the delicious taste of the cake. "This cake will be amazing," she said with a big smile. She gathered all her ingredients: flour, sugar, eggs, and butter. She was so excited to start baking. But as she looked through her pantry, she realized she was missing one crucial ingredient. Rapunzel needed cocoa. Without it, her cake wouldn't be complete. "I must find some cocoa," she said determinedly. She knew she couldn't make the perfect cake without it. Rapunzel peeked out of her tower window, hoping to spot something that could help her. The view from her window was breathtaking, with the forest stretching out as far as the eye could see. Suddenly, she spotted a house made of cookies and candy. It looked delicious and magical, like something out of a dream. "Maybe they have cocoa there," she thought. The house seemed like the perfect place to find such a sweet ingredient. Rapunzel carefully climbed down her long hair, which she used like a rope. She had done this many times before, but it always required great care and precision. She went to knock on the door of the candy house, her heart filled with hope and excitement. She couldn't wait to see who lived there and if they could help her find the cocoa she needed for her cake. As she waited for someone to answer, she imagined the delicious cake she would bake. It would be the best cake she had ever made, and she couldn't wait to share it with her friends. The door slowly opened, and Rapunzel held her breath. Who would she meet? Would they have the cocoa she needed? Her adventure was just beginning. The cookie house belonged to an old lady. This house was not just any ordinary house. It was made entirely of gingerbread and decorated with colorful candies. The walls were made of sweet spiced dough, and the roof was covered in icing and gumdrops. It was a sight to behold, especially for anyone with a sweet tooth. The old lady was grumpy. She had a permanent frown etched on her face, and her eyes were always narrowed in suspicion. "What do you want?" she grumbled at Rapunzel, her voice as sharp as the peppermint sticks that lined her garden path. "Hello," said Rapunzel, her voice soft and polite. "I am baking a cake, but I need cocoa. Do you have any?" Rapunzel held a mixing bowl in her hands, her eyes hopeful. She had heard stories about the old lady's house and the delicious treats that were said to be inside. The old lady shook her head. "No, I don't have any cocoa," she lied. Her voice was smooth, but her eyes darted around nervously. She didn't want to share her precious ingredients with anyone, especially not a young girl who might outshine her baking skills. "But I can offer you something else," the old lady said with a sly smile. She reached into her apron pocket and pulled out a small, wrapped candy. It glistened in the sunlight, and Rapunzel's eyes widened with curiosity. She invited Rapunzel inside. Rapunzel didn't know why, but she felt scared. There was something unsettling about the old lady's smile and the way she looked at her. The house, though beautiful, seemed to hide secrets within its sugary walls. The old lady led Rapunzel down some stairs. "The cocoa is in the cellar," she said. The stairs creaked under their weight, and the air grew colder as they descended. Rapunzel clutched her mixing bowl tighter, her heart pounding in her chest. She couldn't shake the feeling that she was walking into a trap. The cellar was dark and eerie, with shelves lined with jars of mysterious ingredients. Some jars contained herbs and spices, while others held things Rapunzel couldn't even identify. The old lady moved with a purpose, her eyes gleaming in the dim light. Rapunzel looked around nervously. She had never seen such a collection of strange and exotic ingredients. The old lady watched her closely, a sly smile playing on her lips. She seemed to be waiting for something, but Rapunzel couldn't figure out what. Finally, Rapunzel spotted a jar labeled "Cocoa" on one of the shelves. She reached for it, her hands trembling. The old lady's smile widened as Rapunzel took the jar. "Thank you," Rapunzel said, her voice barely above a whisper. The old lady nodded, her eyes never leaving Rapunzel. "You're welcome," she said, her voice dripping with false sweetness. Rapunzel hurried up the stairs, eager to leave the eerie cellar and the unsettling old lady behind. As she ran out of the house, Rapunzel couldn't shake the feeling that she had narrowly escaped something terrible. The gingerbread house stood in the distance, its candy decorations glistening in the sunlight. It looked as innocent as ever, but Rapunzel knew better now. She would never forget the old lady and her eerie cellar. The cellar was dark and scary. Rapunzel felt trapped. "Hello," she called out. "Is anyone there?" Suddenly she heard voices. "We're stuck," cried a little boy. "And we're hungry," cried a little girl. It was Hansel and Gretel. The old lady had tricked them and locked them in the cellar. Rapunzel knew she had to help. "Don't worry," she said. "I'll get us out of here." Rapunzel thought long and hard. She had a clever plan. "I will bake the old lady a special cake," she whispered. "A cake that will make her fall asleep." Hansel and Gretel were surprised. "But how?" asked Hansel. "Don't worry," Rapunzel winked. "I have a secret ingredient." Section 5. The Magic Cake. Rapunzel found flour, sugar, and even some secret dream powder. The dream powder would make the old lady fall fast asleep. "This must be a dream," cried Hansel as he watched Rapunzel bake. "It smells delicious," said Gretel. Soon the cake was ready. It looked beautiful and smelled like sweet dreams. Rapunzel carefully brought the cake upstairs. She had spent hours in the kitchen, meticulously following the recipe handed down through generations. The cake was no ordinary dessert. It was infused with a special ingredient known only to a select few. "I baked this special cake just for you," she told the old lady, her voice filled with a mix of excitement and nervousness. The old lady's eyes lit up with joy and curiosity. She loved cake, especially ones baked with such care and love. She took a big bite, savoring the rich flavors that danced on her tongue. Then another and another, each bite more delicious than the last. The dream powder, a secret ingredient known for its magical properties, started to work its magic. It was a rare and potent substance, capable of inducing a deep, restful sleep. The old lady's eyelids became heavy, her body relaxing with each passing second. "So sleepy," she mumbled, her voice barely a whisper. The cake fell from her hands, landing softly on the floor. She was fast asleep, her breathing slow and steady. Rapunzel watched as the old lady drifted into a peaceful slumber. She felt a mix of relief and satisfaction. The plan had worked perfectly. The old lady would now sleep soundly, free from the worries and troubles that had plagued her. Rapunzel gently picked up the fallen cake, placing it back on the plate. She knew the old lady would want to finish it when she woke up. For now, she let her rest, knowing that the magic of the sleeping spell had done its job. The room was filled with a serene silence, the only sound being the gentle breathing of the old lady. Rapunzel smiled, feeling a sense of accomplishment. She had done something good, something that would bring peace and happiness to the old lady. And that, she thought, was the true magic of the sleeping spell. Rapunzel rushed back to the cellar. "I have the key!" she exclaimed. She unlocked the cellar door. Hansel and Gretel jumped out. "We're free!" they cheered. They ran outside into the sunshine. Rapunzel, Hansel, and Gretel worked together. They broke the gingerbread house into crumbs. They made sure no other child would get tricked. The old lady slept for a very long time. When she finally woke up, her cookie house was gone. She learned her lesson and never trapped any children again. From that day on, Rapunzel, Hansel, and Gretel were the best of friends. They had learned that even though the world can be a bit scary sometimes, kindness and bravery can help overcome any obstacle. They also knew that a little bit of caution can go a long way. Now it's time for you to close your eyes and dream sweet dreams just like the one the old lady had. Remember, as long as you have courage and good friends by your side, there's no challenge too big to overcome. Sweet dreams.